like to talk about 6-3 chords in cadences. Last time we talked about various types of imperfect cadences, which ends with the fifth chord. So today we're going to talk about how we can use the first inversion chord to form an imperfect cadence. So we'll talk about how we can use the supertonic first inversion chord. So 6-3 is the full figure bass chord symbol of first inversion, but most of the time we're just using the top number 6 to indicate the first inversion. Alright, so we're going to talk about how we can use supertonic first inversion chord that leads to fifth chord to form an imperfect cadence. So there are several rules that you need to remember. So when you're building up the supertonic first inversion chord followed by fifth chord to form an imperfect cadence, you have to remember most of the time you double the third of supertonic chord instead of doubling the root. And then make sure that there are no big leaves between any voices. And then you must avoid consecutive fifths and octave. So in order to prevent having any consecutive fifths and octave, make sure that the soprano and then the bass voice move in a contrary motion. Basically means when soprano moves up, the bass voice should move down. Alright? When soprano moves down, right, the bass notes want to move up so that they're moving in a contrary motion to avoid any consecutive fifths and octave. Alright, so there are several rules that you need to remember when you're building up 2 to 5th imperfect cadence with the first inversion chord. Alright, so let's build up with the 2 to 5th in F major first. Okay, so there's one flat, so which is F major. So we're gonna build up 2, 6, 3, which is first inversion, leads to fifth chord. Right? Okay, so let's write down the chord tones of F major. So C, E, G, and C. Supertonic first inversion, most of the time you want to double the third. It depends on the cases, but we're now trying to double the third. Okay, so supertonic. What is supertonic? The second chord of F major, G. So G, B, and then doubling the third. Okay, G, B, D. And then B flat. So not doubling the root, but we're doubling the third, which is B flat, right? And then the bass, all right? Okay, right? So the root goes to the bass, so G down here. Okay, and then the C goes down here. All right, so when you finish it, all right, make sure you tick, all right? And then every note moves to their nearest neighbor. So B flat will be followed by C, okay? C, okay? And then D will be followed by E, okay? And then whatever's left. So B, and then G. Okay, so let's see if the soprano bass move in a contrary motion. So soprano moves up and then the bass voice moves down. Alright, so that's how you build up 2 to 5th imperfect cadence, which is the first inversion. Okay, so that's how you build up supertonic first inversion leads to 5th to form an imperfect cadence. Let's do that in D major, F sharp and C sharp. Alright, so 2 to 5th supertonic first inversion followed by 5th. Okay, so D major, so D, E, F, G, A. So A, C sharp, E, and A. Alright, and then the supertonic first inversion chord, you want to double the third. Okay, so the D, E, G, B, okay, and G, doubling the third. Okay, so the root goes to the bass. Okay, all right, and then A also. So once you use it, tick. All right, and then Alright, so the root goes to the bass, and then the remaining voices must move to their nearest neighbor. Alright, so G followed by, I'll just say A. So G, A. And then B followed by C sharp. Okay, B followed by C sharp. Okay. Alright. And then whatever's left. So G followed by E. Okay. Alright. So is there any consecutive fifth and octave? So there's no consecutive fifth and octave. Okay.